So if you look at the rough stats for Billy Martin's managerial career in the 1970s, you find out he managed, three clubs in 3 years, but wasn't out of work for long. So today we're going to talk about the various machinations of GM Jim Campbell with him in Detroit, which led to him being fired after he won the division in 1972, which eventually led him to go to the Rangers, where he was let go for playing a song that the manager's boss didn't want to hear. Now, team general manager Jim Campbell were always at odds with Martin in Detroit, despite the fact the loss to the A's in a rough 5 game series towards the '72 World Series. You would think that Martin would have a long term viability in the big city. Now, a revised 2 year contract that he had signed was done through the '74 season. The '73 campaign was not as successful for Martin and the Tigers. Nevertheless, did have some successes, making John Hiller a successful closer after a pitcher had survived a heart attack, and discovering the great base stealer Ron LaFleur lounging in a Michigan prison waiting to get out to extend his baseball career. Now, LaFleur would eventually go on to a successful major league career. Now, Martin wanted Campbell to trade some aging veterans to renew the squad, but Campbell refused. Martin briefly quit during spring training of '73 when Campbell did not uphold the fine he had imposed on Willie Horton. Factional conflict within the team, muted by the team's '72 successes, resurged as the team fell behind the standings after spending much of the summer in a spirited three-year race for the AL East with the Orioles and Yankees that the Orioles had won. Martin angered Campbell several times. Owner John Frazier and other Tigers executives by criticizing the front office in the media. Never a person to hold back words. Campbell had defended Martin in the past when Fetzer expressed concern about Martin's off-field behavior, but became increasingly less willing to do so. In May of '73, the Tigers were trailing the lowly Brewers in the standings, and when a sports writer asked Martin if he thought the Brewers were legitimate contenders, Martin hotly replied, "If the Brewers can win with that club, then I'm a Chinese aviator." I don't even know what that means, but here we go. This comment irked Brewers fans, and with the Tigers' next visit to Milwaukee, Brewers fans displayed signs responding to Martin's comments, such as "Fly to Friendly Skies with China" with Billy Martin, while Milwaukee County Stadium's organist would play the theme to Chinatown whenever Martin walked out to the pitching mound as the crowd booed him. In August, when the Tigers returned to Milwaukee, the Brewers hosted a Chinese aviator night, with fans dressing up and Martin serving as a judge in a Chinese aviator lookalike contest. Despite being in first place in June, the Brewers ended up with a losing record. Now, on August 30th, frustrated that umpires were not calling Indians pitcher Gaylord Perry for spitballs, he ordered his pitchers to do the same and told the media what he'd done after the contests. He was suspended by AL president Joe Cronin for breaching league rules, and it was the last straw for Campbell, who fired Martin before the suspension ran out. Now, the Rangers owner Bob Short was a person Martin knew and trusted from his time in the 1960s when Short was an executive with the Twins. After Martin was dismissed by the Tigers, Short told his manager Whitey Herzog that we'd fire his own grandmother to have a chance to hire Martin. Shortly, days later, he fired Herzog and hired Martin, provoking Herzog's comment, "I'm fired, I'm the grandmother." Now, Martin faced a serious challenge to try to rebuild a team that was 47-81 and would lose 105 games that season. No pitcher on the staff won more than 9 games that year, and the team had the worst fan attendance in baseball. It was considered by many, including writer Mike Shropshire, the worst baseball team in history, the '73-'75 Rangers. Now, over the winter of '73-'74, Martin made several trades because Martin felt Short understood him, and he was given a 5-year contract that not only made him field manager, but it gave him the powers of GM as well. He would have complete authority over the 25-man roster and would also be responsible for the farm system. Martin received a receptive clubhouse, including star player Jeff Burroughs, as most of the players had grown up watching him as a Yankee on TV. Now, When the trade for a Fergie in exchange for Bill Madlock, Jenkins and Jim Bibby would anchor the pitching staff. He promoted Jim Sundberg and Mike Hargrove to the Rangers from the lower minor leagues, and of course to were career top stars. Short sold the team into Brad Corbett just before the '74 season began, and the new owner retained Martin as manager, but did not allow him control of the roster, so he pulled back the GM duties. Now, when he opened at Arlington Stadium against the two-time defending world champion A's, Martin billed the series as a meeting of the top two AL West teams through Las Vegas. Though Las Vegas put the Rangers at 50-1 to win the division. The A's won 2 and 3, but all the games were close. After winning a series at Oakland at the end of April, marked by aggressive base running or Billy Ball, the Rangers were in first place. Martin taught the Rangers to improve their play and to beware his rage. Outfielder Tom Grieve later stated that he made the team afraid to lose. Now, the Rangers stayed close in the Division League through May and June, though they dropped to fourth place and 8 games back by the All-Star break. The Rangers did keep their race close until late September and finished second 5 games back, and the record of 84-86 was a considerable improvement on 1973. Martin was named AL Manager of the Year, and home attendance more than doubled. Now, given her strong performance in '74 and Martin's reputation for building winners, because obviously he won in Minnesota and Detroit division titles, the Rangers were the favorite in the AL West for '75 over the A's. The team underperformed, however, with Jenkins going for 25 wins in 17 and other key players not doing as well as in '74. After a slow start, the Rangers recovered to some extent, but near the end of June, found themselves 12 games behind the A's. Relations between Martin and the Ranger front office were strained by off-field issues, including Martin's incoherent decision to drink heavily. And there was also conflict with some of the players, including Sundberg. As he lost control of his team, Martin struck Rangers traveling secretary Burton Hawkins, allegedly for organizing a players' wives' club. In July, after a dispute with Corbett over whether to sign free agent catcher Tom Egan, Martin told the media that the owner, who had made a fortune selling plumbing pipes, he knows as much about baseball as I do about pipe. Corbett began consulting the minority owners, decided where to fire Martin, and informed the manager of this. One day later, on July 20th, after Martin ordered the public address announcer to play John Denver's Thank God I'm a Country Boy, which he wanted to have in a 7-inning stretch, instead of the Corbett's favorite Take Me Out the Ball Game, he was fired. Now, Martin was not out of work for very long. 2 weeks after Texas fired Martin, manager Bill Verdon was a lame duck and was fired by the Yankees. The former Yankees second baseman was hired to take his place, marking Martin's first time in the Yankee uniform since he traded from the Pinstripes in 1957. Some players and writers have concluded that he had a long campaign for the Yankee job. What is beyond dispute is that after Martin was dismissed by Texas, New York GM Gabe Paul, acting on behalf of owner George Steinbrenner, quickly got in touch with Martin. An agreement soon followed, and Martin officially returned to the Bronx on August 1st. Well aware of Martin's behavioral proclivities, Paul and Steinbrenner believed they could keep Martin under control, and of course, the rest is not history. Now, they not only wrote good conduct clauses into Martin's contract, they picked the coaching staff themselves. Now, Shropshire's book, Season Hell, wrote a quote from that. Allegedly, this is what happened. On the night that the firing from the Rangers was announced, Billy sat with a group of sports writers in his office, and I'm told wept. There is a term that describes Billy's emotional state at that point. Crocodile tears, I believe they call it. The next time I laid eyes on Billy Martin was at the Pont Chartrain Hotel in Detroit. Billy was on television, appearing on the Game of the Week. He was wearing his proud number 1 on the back and a uniform that had pinstripes. The new field manager of the New York Yankees looked real happy. Like I said, say what you want about Billy Martin. He was smart. Unfortunately, he was his own worst enemy, because you look at the Bronx as burning. He talks about it a little bit for a while, but the idea he goes from a division winner in Minnesota, summarily ran out of town, goes in Detroit, gets them back into the playoffs after '68, and technically he's run out of town. He goes to Texas, almost makes them to the playoffs, and he's run out of town. Then he comes in New York, and he has pretty well daily nervous breakdowns, and with the Reggie Jackson situation in '77, '78. So you're looking at from 1969 to technically 1978, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And like I said, I'm surprised he didn't murder anybody because, the way he jumped against Jackson. Like, I don't know, bipolarism or mental illness could be even diagnosed with Billy Martin, because you got to be crazy to be the manager of four different franchises: the Twins, the Tigers, the Rangers, and the Yankees, technically within 7 years. I mean, that's what they call it, schizophrenic managing. So that's the story of Billy Martin's Three Wives in 3 Years story. If you like what we're doing here with our baseball vintage podcast, let us know what a like, comment, subscribe, or share. And by the way, the ghost of Billy Martin allegedly is in John Tortorella. And if you think that's a stretch, go look up if you don't know who John Tortorella is. John Tortorella is a Billy Martin. If Billy Martin didn't fuck his mother many years ago, I'd be very surprised. Have a good one. Bye.